Hi, it's Katie from Ladyredcrafting, and today I'm excited to show you how we deconstruct this sign into 4 pieces and make 3 different crafts. To deconstruct this sign, I'm going to take my heat tool and carefully remove the rooster from the front of the sign. Then I'm going to go ahead and take the string off the back of the sign. It should be pretty easy to do there. And then last, we're going to take off the crossbars across the front of the fence posts. I also take off as much of the paper on the front of the sign that I can, and then I grab my zip sander and sand it down. Craft number 1. For this first craft, we're going to take the main piece of the sign and one of the crossbars. We're going to set this down on something you can paint on, and I'm going to paint this with my ivory paint from Walmart. We're only going to paint one thick coat over the top of the front of the sign here, just so that way when we cover it, if anything shows through, it's just off-white. Next, we're going to take some burlap that I got from the Dollar Tree. I love this polka dot burlap. And I'm going to measure it out, and I'm going to cut a piece to fit over the top of this fence post. I don't cut all of this triangles out to begin with. I'm going to go ahead and Mod Podge this on, and then I'll finish cutting off the top little pieces. So once we finish Mod Podging on the burlap, we're going to go ahead and cut the triangle pieces out at the top of the sign. I'm then going to go ahead and just carefully remove one little string around the edges of the burlap, just to give it kind of a frayed look when it's finished. So next we're going to take one of the crossbar pieces. I'm going to paint it with my ivory Waverly paint, and I'm going to do 2 coats. Once that paint is dry, we're going to grab our mineral colored paint from Waverly Chalk and truffle paint from the Waverly Chalk paint line. And we're going to just go ahead and dry brush that on the top of this piece. And we're just going to try to make it look a little bit more weathered. And if you make it too dark, you can always go back over with the ivory paint. Next, I'm going to take these stencils that I got from Walmart, and they are adhesive, and they're great for doing nice little words on signs. And I'm going to write out the word spring. And if you like any of the products that I'm using today, I'll try to link as many of them as I can in my description below. So when I do use these stencils, I use a sponge brush, and I just dab the paint into the stencil itself. And then when you remove these, try to remove them in one sweep so you're not smearing any of your paint. These stencils are great. They wash up really easily with hot water and soap, and then you can reuse them for your next project. So I found this metal flower pot from the Dollar Tree, but before we attach it, we're going to go ahead and re-put the string on the top of the sign. And then I'm going to grab my hot glue, and I'm going to glue this cute flowers onto the sign. Once we get that flower pot onto the sign, I'm going to use my pink clips, and I'm just going to hold it on just to make sure it stays on really nice and tight. Once we remove the clips from the sign, I'm going to grab this ribbon I got at the Dollar Tree, and it's great. It's a thicker lace ribbon, and I'm just going to cut out what I think would look nice as little petals on the top of this flower pot. And you don't need to worry about doing it on the center. I'm just going to go ahead and Mod Podge these little pieces of ribbon onto this flower. And then I'm going to take these really cute burlap flowers that I found at the Dollar Tree. They come in a 3-pack, and I'm going to glue 2 of them onto this pot. One of them is going to go on top of those nice cute lace pieces, and the other one is going to go onto that smaller flower all by itself. Let me know in your comments below if you guys have found these burlap flowers at your Dollar Tree. I'd love to hear about your projects that you guys are creating with them. So now it's time to attach that spring sign to the bottom of our sign. I'm just going to attach it with some hot glue and put that right underneath the flower pot. Next, we're going to add some finishing touches to the sign. We're going to go ahead and make a basic bow with the smaller ribbon that we got from the Dollar Tree. It's a nice lace ribbon that matches the one we used earlier. And I'm just going to go ahead and decide where I would like to put it. And I didn't like it up there, so I put it on the flower pot itself. But I did feel like the top needed something else to embellish it. I wasn't able to get it on camera, but I did add 2 small brown buttons to the top of my sign. And that's it. We have a beautiful spring sign that you can hang and put out for decor. Craft number 2. We're going to take that rooster piece, and then I found this cute sign at the Dollar Tree, and we're going to take it apart, and we're going to make a reversible sign. So I'm going to start by taking a piece of cardboard, and I'm going to measure out the insert for this sign. And I just use my straight edge there to do that. And once we have that piece of cardboard, I'm going to put that on a paintable surface, and I'm going to paint one side with chalk paint. And I did do 2 coats of paint. Once that paint dries, we're going to go ahead and we're going to grab a stencil. And I've had this stencil for a long time. You can use whatever stencil that you have, or you can get a stencil from the Dollar Tree. This stencil is not self-adhesive, so I'm going to take my painter's tape and I'm going to secure it lightly so I can easily pull the tape up, but secure it enough that it's not going to move. So once we have that stencil in place, I'm going to grab my chalk paste and the colored lace, and using my squeegee tool, I'm going to scrape some of that paint onto the stencil. When you use the squeegee tool to apply this chalk paste, you want to have enough paste on the squeegee that you can just lightly, it's almost like you're brushing in a single stroke the paint into the stencil. Next, we're going to go ahead and remove the stencil carefully. Feel free to use your black paint if you need to touch up any mishaps. Once everything is really dry, I take my zip sander and I go ahead and do a light sand over the top. If you don't have a zip sander, just a regular piece of sandpaper will work. Then I blow off any dust from the chalk paste. And to seal in the sign, I'm going to use my finishing wax. The one that I use is the Jolene brand, and I did get this on Amazon, and I'll link it below. And I just put it on a little bit of a lint-free towel, and I just wipe it on the top of my sign. Now let's flip over the sign and do the reverse side. We're going to take our Waverly paint, and this is the color Ivory, and we're just going to do a light single coat on the back side here. Next, I'm going to grab my Mod Podge, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a single layer of the Mod Podge over the top of the paint. Then we're going to take a piece of the burlap that we got from the Dollar Tree, this nice polka dotted burlap, and we're going to cut it to fit to the back side of the sign. Once that burlap is attached to the sign, I'm going to grab my hot glue gun and I'm going to go ahead and hot glue the rooster to the sign. Once the rooster is attached to the sign, I'm going to go ahead and grab a cute off-white bow that we're going to attach to the rooster. This is just a basic bow that I made with some ribbon that I had. Now you can see that the sign is coming together. We have something on both sides of this sign. Let's go ahead and get this inserted back into the original piece from the Dollar Tree. And this just unsnaps really easily, and we're just going to snap this back into place. And this will stand up nice on a shelf, and you can use this for the spring, and then you can put it by your coffee bar, and it's reversible, so it's great. Craft number 3. For this craft, we're going to use the last crossbar. For the first coat of paint, I used the mineral colored chalk paint from Waverly, and decided I wanted to start with a darker color underneath. So I switched over and I painted a coat of the truffle Waverly paint on top of this sign. Once dry, I go ahead and I grab my Elmer's glue and I put a thin coat of Elmer's glue on top of this paint. Do not let this dry, let it get a little bit tacky, and then take your mineral colored paint and you're going to paint over the top of this sign. By using the Elmer's glue, it's going to give it more of a crackly, rustic look when it dries. Once this paint dries on the sign, I'm going to grab the stencils from Walmart that I used earlier, and we're going to spell out the word herb. And this is going to be a cute little herb hanging sign for you. So what we're going to do is we're going to spell out the word herbs, and we're going to take our sponge paintbrush, and I'm going to paint this with the color black, and it's going to look really nice and crackly. I'd like to take a moment to thank you guys all for watching the videos. If you guys like what you're seeing, please hit that like button below. Thanks! Next, we're going to go ahead and remove the stencil very carefully. As you can see, I did get a little bit of black paint on the sign. So I'm going to come back with my mineral paint, and I'm going to just lightly coat any of the little mistakes that I made when pulling up that stencil. While the paint is drying, I'm going to go ahead and grab that piece from the second sign, that little insert that we didn't use for that white reversible sign. And there's a little clip that came on it that you were supposed to clip a photo onto. And I'm going to go ahead and remove that clip, and I'm going to attach it to the herb sign instead. So I'm going to take that piece and hot glue it right to the center. If you haven't used these rub-on transfers from the Dollar Tree yet, grab a set and try them out. They're actually really good. I'm going to take and cut out 2 of the leaves, and I'm going to put them onto this sign. Once you've determined where your transfer items are supposed to be, you go ahead and grab a popsicle stick and just go ahead and rub that transfer onto the sign. Next, we're going to flip over the sign, and I'm going to grab a piece of jute twine, and I'm going to glue it to the back of the sign to make a nice hanger. And what I do here is I hot glue the jute twine onto the back of the sign. Then I use a piece of scrap ribbon to cover the glue. Now we have a great herb hanger to dry your herbs from the garden. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed all 3 crafts. Please let me know what your favorite was below. And if you'd like to see more craft videos, please click on the link. Bye!